Qualifying is done. Josh Cadill, Robert Wynn Jr., Russ Kilgore never took to the track to qualify. They'll start at the back. Brock Whitehead and Richard Fornshell on the front row. Trey Whitehead and Harley Barletta on the second row. James Harris and Christian Wilcox on the third row. Derek Wynn and Garth Snyder on the fourth row. Jim Cook and Stephen Madden rounding out the top 10. William Mann and Kevin Kirchar 11th and 12th. Josh Cadill, Robert Wynn Jr. 13th and 14th. 15th is Full Bore Kilgore. Look through the field as it looks like everybody has gridded. Should start seeing the pace car roll in a moment. There he goes. All right, everybody lining up, getting ready for the green. Brock Whitehead on the inside of the front row. Richard Fornshell outside of the front row. $80 laps, only 3 total sets of tires. They have 2 additional sets. Tire strategy will come into play here tonight. Fornshell warming up the tires just a little bit, weaving around. Pace car is in. Green flag is in the air. They are down and away. Brock Whitehead gets a good start on this one. He's going to bring his brother Trey with him. Both Whitehead brothers now first and second. Fornshell back to third. And here comes James Harris in fourth place. Winner of the first 2 races of the season. Looking to three-peat here tonight. Harley Barletta back in fifth. Christian Wilcox in sixth. All over the back bumper. Garth Snyder starting to make his way up. He's already up to 7th. Derek Wynn in 8th. 9th is William Mann Jr., who has picked up 2 spots already on the first lap. Stephen Madden is 10th. Josh Cadill 11th. Kevin Kirchar 12th. Jim Cook 13th. Russ Kilgore 14th. Robert Wynn Jr. back in 15th. Brock Whitehead continues to lead with his brother in tow. James Harris finally clearing. No, he's not cleared Fornshell yet. Fornshell down to the inside. James Harris finally clears him. James to third. Harley Barletta starting to close in on this lead pack just a little bit. Christian Wilcox in 6th place. Garth Snyder in 7th. Everybody getting single file, at least for the moment. And now they're not single file. James Harris has caught the two brothers and is now dropping to the inside for second place. Off into turn 1, James Harris on the bottom, right in Brock's tire tracks. Trey still fighting back up on the high side. And Fornshell looks to the inside. James comes down just a little bit. Brock Whitehead in the lead, but James Harris has come from 4th in just a couple of laps. He is now to second place, jumping to the inside, looking for the lead. Can't quite get there yet. James Harris holding on to second. Trey Whitehead right there in third. Fornshell in fourth, and Harley Barletta has caught up to Fornshell in fifth place. William Mann is marching his way forward. He started in 11th. He's up to 8th and making his way forward right now. Fighting on the outside of Garth Snyder. But Garth gets a good run off into turn one. Has to check up a little bit coming through two. William Mann still to the outside. A little more momentum on the high side off of turn number two. Back up front, James Harris is side by side with Brock Whitehead for the lead. James Harris has it at the line. Trey Whitehead right behind him. Trey trying to find a way to get back up there. James Harris up on the high side, still has the staying even with Brock all the way around the track. And can he clear him off four? Not yet. They're going to be drag racing down the front straightaway. James Harris clears him at the line. James Harris now to the lead at Texas. Brock Whitehead currently second place. Fornshell now in third. Trey Whitehead back to fourth. And Harley Barletta has caught the lead group. But now it is 2.5 seconds back to Garth Snyder and the rest of the pack. And Fornshell trying to make a move on the outside on Trey Whitehead. A little bit of momentum advantage on the high side coming off the turns. Off into turn one, Fornshell takes third, looks to the outside of Trey for second. They line up single file. Further back, Garth Snyder leading the second pack, but Christian Wilcox trying to make something happen up on the high side. Gets a little too high into turn three. Garth pulling away just a little bit. Christian Wilcox is side by side with Derek Wynn. William Mann right behind him. Tenth place is Josh Cadill. Stephen Madden in 11th. Kevin Kirchar in 12th. Jim Cook in 13th. Russ Kilgore in 14th. Robert Wynn Jr. in 15th. Two cars I kind of expect to see start making their way forward on the long run. Jim Cook and Robert Wynn Jr. Both very good at having the long run speed. James Harris currently out front though. Brock Whitehead all over the back bumper. Fornshell right there. Trey Whitehead right there. And Harley Barletta starting to look a little bit racy. Looks like he is looking for fourth. Garth Snyder still leading the second pack. Christian Wilcox now in 8th. William Mann Jr. in 9th, looking for the position. Derek Wynn in 9th, Josh Cadill in 10th. Stephen Madden in 11th, Kevin Kirchar 12th, Jim Cook still hanging on in 13th, Kilgore 14th, and Robert Wynn Jr. in 15th. Bit surprised to see Robert Wynn Jr. a little bit further back, although he might be using his dad's tire saving strategy. His dad pulling off a miraculous tire saving race once here in a truck race here at Texas and dominated the field just by saving tires and fuel on a very long run. Brock Whitehead right there with him in second. And Brock Whitehead is all over the back bumper of James Harris. Fornshell in third, Trey Whitehead in fourth. Harley Barletta has backed off just a little bit in fifth. Garth Snyder now leading that second group. They are 4.5 seconds back, losing a little bit of ground on the leaders. Christian Wilcox in seventh, William Mann Jr. in eighth. Everybody's starting to settle in just a little bit, in for a long run, knowing that they have to stretch the tires as far as they can. So far, James Harris has the fastest lap of the race at 30.76. Last time by, he was still the fastest on track. And, oh my goodness, what in the world? Trey Whitehead on the bottom in 3 and 4. Let's see if we can hop back just a little bit and see what happened to cause that issue. Trey Whitehead on the inside of Fornshell, Harley right behind him. Trey pushes, just gets a little tap from Fornshell, and that's what put him down on the bottom. Harley Barletta backing out, letting him have the space to get back out on the track safely. James Harris still out in front with Brock Whitehead. Fornshell now losing ground. He is 1.4 seconds back. Trey Whitehead, Harley Barletta still right there together. Harley starting to look to the inside. Harley Barletta to the inside for fourth place. He gets the nose ahead, clears him into turn 3. Meanwhile, back behind, Garth Snyder continuing to hold 6th place, pull away just a little bit from Wilcox. William Mann currently in 8th place. Has a half a second over Derek Wynn. Back behind, I told you he'd come late in the run. Here comes Jim Cook on the bottom. Up to 11th now. And here comes Russ Kilgore trying to jump to the inside and take a position as well. Russ Kilgore going around Kevin Kirchar for 10th. And William Mann Jr. battling Derek Wynn. That is for 8th place. Wynn trying to take it. Can't get there yet. Russ Kilgore now up to 10th place, but Jim Cook has really started to pour on the speed the last few laps. A fourth of the way through the race, and speed starting to drop. The guys that saved tires early starting to come forward. Speaking of, Robert Wynn Jr. had fallen quite a ways back from that second group. Guess what? He is closing. Expect to see Junior make his way up through the field. James Harris still out front with Brock Whitehead right in his tire tracks. They now have a 1.7 second lead over Richard Fornshell. Harley Barletta now firmly in 4th. Trey Whitehead in 5th. Christian Wilcox now has taken 6th from Garth Snyder. Christian's starting to turn it up. Garth Snyder currently running in 7th. William Mann Jr. trying to close in on him. He's had to fend off Derek Wynn a couple of times, and again, Derek Wynn to the bottom. Derek Wynn going for 8th. Down the back straightaway, drag race down to 3. William Mann on the high side, trying to hold him off. He gets just ahead in turn 3. Derek Wynn can't do anything with him yet. And here comes Full Bore Kilgore, now up to 10th. Kevin Kirchar in 11th. Jim Cook in 12th. And James Harris is starting to open up a lead on Brock Whitehead now, a 1.1 second lead. Harley Barletta now in 4th, trying to run down Thornshell. Trey Whitehead in 5th. Wilcox in 6th is now 4.5 seconds back, and that gap is actually starting to close just a little bit. Once he cleared Garth Snyder, he has started to close the gap just a hair. And a little bit of side-by-side. Derek Wynn now looking for a pass on William Mann again. Off of turn 4. I think William might have gotten the wall there. A little wiggle out of Derek Wynn on the front straightaway. And Full Bore Kilgore just waiting to decide, see who's going to come out ahead and follow them through. Oh, is Kilgore going to make it 3 wide? Not yet. This is the battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th. William Mann holding on to it. He drifts up in the middle of 3 and 4. William Mann pushing that car for everything he can to hold these two behind him. Kilgore now to the high side, and it looks like Garth Snyder is really struggling all of a sudden. He has lost a ton of ground, and William Mann, this whole group will be on his back bumper quickly. Looks like he might have burned his tires up a little bit early. James Harris in the lead now, 1.5 seconds. Now the question is, when do they pit? Whoever goes first, everybody else, you can expect them to go on the second lap. Thornshell now to 2nd. Brock Whitehead back to 3rd. Harley Barletta in 4th. Trey Whitehead in 5th. Christian Wilcox in 6th. Garth Snyder in 7th, but he is losing ground quickly as William Mann brings a hungry group with him. Russ Kilgore currently running in 9th, and he is one to watch as well. He has started pouring on speed the last few laps. Jim Cook back in 12th. He started to charge a couple of laps ago, but hasn't made a whole lot of progress. We'll see if he can start charging again here in a moment, as Derek Wynn is falling back quickly. Looks like he might have ate his tires up trying to get around William Mann. Jim Cook off turn 4, carrying a ton of momentum. And William Mann Jr. still holding on to 7th place. He has cleared Garth Snyder now. Garth really struggling as his tires are pretty well gone. Jim Cook on the bottom. He is going for position on Derek Wynn. Ew, it gets a little dicey in 3 and 4. Jim Cook had to get out of it briefly, not to get into Derek Wynn. Loses a little bit of ground, and now Stephen Madden right there. William Mann now up to 7th place. Russ Kilgore all over the back bumper. Kevin Kirchar now up to 9th. Some of these guys, you can tell, have been saving the tires really well, and they are still able to fight, including William Mann and Russ Kilgore, who are just going at it every single corner. Meanwhile, James Harris, you see the lead he has built, and Brock Whitehead has slipped back. Now brother Trey Whitehead to the high side. Harley Barletta right behind this battle. The brother, oh! Brock is completely sideways through 3 and 4. He dirt tracked it through there. He saves the car, but loses a ton of ground. Now Harley Barletta is going to be right on his back bumper. James Harris's lead is starting to shrink because that man right there is coming towards the front. Richard Fornshell is moving forward. Trey Whitehead in third again. Harley Barletta now side by side with Brock for fourth. Brock manages to hold on to it again. Oh, they're going to touch. Brock gets up just a little bit into Harley Barletta. A little bobble out of the 22. James Harris has been, since he took the lead, has been steadily walking away from the field. But Richard Fornshell is starting to come. It is now less than a 1 second lead. Trey Whitehead now 1.5 seconds back. Kevin Kirchar has an incident. No caution. Let's see what happened. Robert Wynn Jr. comes to pit road. It looks like Kirchar pulled off and stopped. Robert Wynn Jr., the first car on pit road. On fresh tires, they were running 30.7 second laps. Currently 32.54 for the leader. The gap between first and second place has now stabilized at about 1 second. James Harris still out in the lead, looking for 3 in a row. Harley Barletta is on pit road. Robert Wynn Jr. has come off of pit road now. And Fornshell starting to close the gap just a little bit again. Now 9/10 of a second. And James Harris gives up the lead and goes to pit road. Fornshell goes by. Fornshell down to the lead. Brock Whitehead came to pit road. Garth Snyder is on pit road. Expect to see Fornshell and everybody else this time by. Fornshell staying out. He's going to try and split it. He's going to 40 laps. Trey Whitehead stays out. He is 1.7 seconds back. Christian Wilcox stays out 6.5 seconds behind the leader. Kilgore now 10 seconds behind the leader. William Mann Jr., he's still out in 5th place now. Jim Cook, Josh Cadill, both on pit road. Fornshell continuing to click away laps. Looks like more than likely we will see him on pit road this time. James Harris now back off pit road. Trey Whitehead is on pit road. Fornshell does not come to pit road this time. Is Christian Wilcox going to come as James Harris goes flying by on the high side? Christian Wilcox coming to pit road. Russ Kilgore is still out. He is staying out. William Mann Jr. battling side by side with... Oh, that was Harley Barletta coming by on fresh tires. Stephen Madden still out. And James Harris, who led the most laps so far, currently back in 6th as guys start to come to pit road. Fornshell still out there. Fornshell will have an advantage with fresh tires when he gets late in the next run, but how long can he stay out? He's going to lose a ton of ground here. As James Harris is working his way back towards the front, trying to unlap himself. He's got the 11 of Derek Wynn on the bottom. Garth Snyder on the top as they come by. Fornshell on pit road. William Mann on pit road. And Russ Kilgore now on pit road. Stephen Madden assumes the lead. Pit stops almost completely cycled through. Stephen Madden is going to be the last one to come to pit road. James Harris now in second place. He is 19 seconds behind Stephen Madden, who has not pitted. Madden is on pit road. Now James Harris will retake the lead. Trey Whitehead in second place, now 4.5 seconds back. Harley Barletta in third with Brock Whitehead. Side-by-side battle for third place. Harley Barletta clears him. He'll be in third once pit stops cycle through. James Harris officially reassuming the lead now. Trey Whitehead now 4.7 seconds back. Harley Barletta now in third. He is 6 seconds behind the leader. Brock Whitehead right there in his tire tracks in fourth. Fornshell currently running in fifth. Christian Wilcox in sixth. Robert Wynn Jr. in seventh place. Remember, he was the first to come to pit road. Is he coming back to pit road already? Interesting situation developing with Robert Wynn Jr. as he comes back to pit road. After pit stop cycle through, Jim Cook now into the top 10. He is up to 8th place. 4 seconds behind Russ Kilgore now is Jim Cook, and starting to gain a little bit. He's got Josh Cadill there to help him draft. Meanwhile, James Harris continues to lead. He continues to open up that lead just a little bit. Currently, Derek Wynn is the first car one lap down if the caution comes out. Garth Snyder is in 13th. Robert Wynn Jr., Kevin Kirchar appear to be out and done for the day. And Stephen Madden about to be in the clutches of James Harris. He'll lose a lap. Once James gets around Madden, that'll put 10 cars left on the lead lap. As James Harris continues his march toward 3 wins in a row. Trey Whitehead in second, 4.5 seconds back. Harley Barletta and Brock Whitehead not far behind Trey. If these three get lined up and use the draft, there is a possibility they could regain James Harris, but they're going to have to get hooked up and go forward quickly. As Brock makes a move to the inside of Harley Barletta on the front stretch, Brock Whitehead to third place. Harley Barletta currently fourth. Fornshell back in fifth. Christian Wilcox in sixth. Russ Kilgore seventh. Jim Cook eighth. He has actually started to lose ground, a little bit of ground, to Russ Kilgore. Josh Cadill in ninth, losing ground to Jim Cook, and William Mann currently in 10th, gaining on both of them. And a little bit of a developing story here as Trey Whitehead has gotten into the draft of Derek Wynn and has started to gain ground on James Harris. The lead now down to 4 seconds. Trey Whitehead clears the lap car of Derek Wynn. Lead holding steady at 4 seconds for James Harris. Trey Whitehead in second. Brock Whitehead in third. Harley Barletta in fourth. Fornshell currently in fifth. Fornshell starting to gain a little bit on Harley Barletta and Brock Whitehead as well. That was 2.5 seconds just a few laps ago. Now 1.7. And Trey Whitehead is gaining on James Harris. Now 3.9 seconds. Meanwhile, James Harris out front, taking it, keeping it very smooth and consistent laps. There you see, it is still Brock Whitehead continuing just a little bit at a time to gain on James Harris. 3.6 seconds is the lead now for James Harris. This time by, let's see, James 31.8. Trey 31.6. If James Harris has anything left in those tires, he's going to have to start cranking it up pretty soon because Trey Whitehead is gaining on him. Trey is actually pulling away just a little bit from Brock Whitehead and Harley Barletta. Fornshell has actually gotten around Barletta now and up to fourth. Let's see how that happened. Fornshell sends it down onto the bottom through 1 and 2. I'm sorry, through 3 and 4. He clears Harley Barletta and down the front straightaway. Looks like he's actually gaining a little bit of ground on Brock Whitehead now. He is. He's almost to the back bumper of Brock Whitehead. Brock almost gets the wall out of turn 4. Now Fornshell back to the bottom in 1 and 2. He's going to clear it. Mark Fornshell up to third. And he is actually gaining ground on Trey Whitehead, who is just under 2.5 seconds ahead. 25 laps to go. So James Harris his lead has continued to shrink. It is down now to 2.7 seconds over Trey Whitehead. But Trey Whitehead has a 2.5 second lead on Fornshell. That lead is starting to shrink as well. James Harris has to hope Fornshell gets to Whitehead first. They battle it out and give him a little breathing room. Brock Whitehead also starting to turn it up. He is chasing down Fornshell. Harley Barletta back in fifth. Fornshell came into tonight second in points, currently running third, but the points leader is James Harris after 2 consecutive wins. And it looks like James Harris had been saving tires just a little bit. A lap ago, the gap was 2.5 seconds. Now it's back up to 2.7. 22 laps to go. Josh Cadill jumping to the high side, letting Trey by easily. Fornshell continuing to close that gap just a little bit, now down to 2.3 seconds. Brock Whitehead currently in fourth. He has closed the gap now to 1.4 seconds on Fornshell. And Harley Barletta starting to come back into the picture just a little bit. Christian Wilcox currently in sixth. Russ Kilgore started in 15th, biggest mover of the night. He is up to 7th. William Mann Jr., who started in 11th place, is now up to 8th. Jim Cook now back in 9th place, and Stephen Madden back in 10th. Jim Cook all over the back bumper of William Mann, though. James Harris actually within sight of Jim Cook and William Mann Jr. Stephen Madden directly in front of him. Stephen Madden has managed to hold on to the lead lap and stay ahead of James Harris since the green flag stops, when James had been right on his back bumper earlier in the run. Now Madden's starting to pull away. James Harris lead now, though, dropping again. It is now down to 2.3 seconds. Trey Whitehead in second, doing everything he can to get up there and get the win. 18 laps to go, 2.3 seconds to the leader. Fornshell has closed within 1.8 seconds of Trey Whitehead now, and continuing to make his way forward. Last time by, he was 1/10 of a second faster. Harley Barletta now battling Brock Whitehead for 4th. Harley's going to clear him through 3 and 4. They've got a lap car of Josh Cadill on the high side. And Fornshell still trying to reel in. It is 1.7 seconds to Trey Whitehead. Trey still maintaining 2.3 seconds behind James Harris. Brock Whitehead, Harley Barletta. This battle has been going on literally since the green flag dropped. They have been nose to tail, swap positions countless times. Jim Cook was all over the back bumper of William Mann just a lap ago, starting to lose a little bit of ground. Stephen Madden in 10th, trying to close in on Jim Cook. And James Harris out front is maintaining the 2.3 second lead for the moment. Last time by, lap times between James Harris, Trey Whitehead, identical, 32.31. Watching their lap times as they come across. This time, James Harris, 32.42. Trey Whitehead, 32.43. Just 1/100th of a second faster was James Harris. Richard Fornshell continuing to whittle away at Trey Whitehead, but 1.6 seconds in 13 laps may not have enough time. Harley Barletta and Brock Whitehead have cleared lap traffic, still nose to tail. Christian Wilcox currently in 6th. Russ Kilgore 7th. William Mann in 8th. Jim Cook in 9th. And Stephen Madden in 10th. And Stephen Madden really starting to come on late in the run here. He is almost to the back bumper of Jim Cook now. looks like we're about to have a battle for ninth. Here comes Stephen Madden to the inside of Jim Cook. Jim will have the advantage on the high side off the turn. Stephen Madden's got to try and get him early. Jim Cook clears him out of turn 4, and Jim Cook maintains ninth place. 11 laps to go. James Harris still out front, and he is closing in on this battle for ninth. But his lead has shrunk even more. It's now down to 2 seconds. Trey Whitehead is starting to crank it up yet again. Fornshell currently in third place. His gap has increased again. It is now 1.9 seconds. 10 laps to go for James Harris. Can he hold Trey Whitehead off? Can Trey Whitehead, who has lots of experience on the actual Texas Motor Speedway, can that come into play this late in the run with a 1.9 second gap to the leader? Harley Barletta and Brock Whitehead still nose to tail all the way around the track. Looks like Brock might have got the wall off turn 2. Oh, Brock is dirt tracking it again. We saw this late in the run last time. Another great save by Brock Whitehead, but how many more of those does he have? Let's watch Brock closely this lap, see if he's got that car under control or if it's starting to go away from him. A little bit of a wiggle down the back straightaway. Off into turn 3, he takes the lower line this time. And it looks like it's trying to come around on him. He holds it. It looks like that car is really starting to go away on Brock. Up front, James Harris continues to lead. He is now closing in on the battle for ninth place. He's got Stephen Madden directly in front of him. He has gotten around Jim Cook. Stephen Madden now to ninth and about to go a lap down. Trey Whitehead now 1.5 seconds back, continuing to close. 7 laps to go. Fornshell now 3 seconds behind this battle. James Harris has to be careful with the lap traffic not to lose any speed here. He has got to maintain his lap speed and stay ahead of Trey Whitehead, but Trey Whitehead is really pushing that car. Trey now 1.5 seconds back. And here is the view in Trey's car. He can see James just ahead coming out of turn number 2. Dives down to the inside on Jim Cook. Through 3. Oh, a little bobble out of Jim. Couldn't tell if they touched. And we've got a car in the wall. I believe it's William Mann. William Mann Jr. in the wall. Out of turn 4, he loses a ton of ground. Trey Whitehead has cleared the lap traffic. Now he sets his sights on James Harris, 1.52 seconds ahead. Now 1.47. He is closing quickly. 4 laps to go. .44 seconds. Trey trying everything he has got. Three laps to go. James Harris going for 3 wins in a row. Could we be looking at the series champion already? Oh, a little bobble out of turn 2 for James Harris. Manages to keep it going the right way, but you can tell the tires are definitely going away. Trey Whitehead still 1.4 seconds back, 2 to go. One and a half second lead now. James Harris off turn 2. He bobbled here last time. No problem this time. James Harris is looking for the white flag. He'll look at the spotter stand this time. Sees Barney waving the white flag up there. 1 lap to go for James Harris. 1.5 second lead. Trey Whitehead has not been able to close it anymore. Fornshell back in third, now 5 seconds back from this battle. Out of turn 2, James Harris way ahead. He can coast from here. Through turns 3 and 4, Trey Whitehead really sends it in, gains over 1/10 of a second on the last lap. It won't be enough. James Harris pulls off 3 wins in a row. Trey Whitehead, a valiant effort in second. Fornshell, talk about a comeback in third. Harley Barletta comes home 4th. Brock Whitehead is 5th. Christian Wilcox is 6th. Russ Kilgore, biggest mover of the night, in 7th. Stephen Madden in 8th. Jim Cook managing to finish 9th. And Derek Wynn currently in 10th. Josh Cadill 11th. Garth Snyder 12th. William Mann Jr., Robert Wynn Jr., and Kevin Kirchar round out the field. And I'm betting James is celebrating. Let's see if we can get a word with Fornshell real quick. Looks like Fornshell is actually muted. Let me see if I can get hold of Trey. Hey, Trey, this is Doug. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you.
That was a valiant effort on the end of that last run.
Yeah, I knew James had to save a little bit of fuel because he pit, I believe, a couple laps before I did, and I just barely made it. I had about less than a gallon of gas left, so he was saving. I could tell he was saving on the backstretch. He was clutching it, and I mean, we really tried. Like I said, I had 2 lap fresher tires. I was going. I feel like I figured out turn 1 a little bit better than he did, but he had me in turn 3 and 4 on the short run, and it was just a little bit too much of a gap to maintain. I think if we had about 10 more laps and a little bit more fuel in it, we would have had it. But I mean, it was a really good race. A lot of spread out racing, which was kind of different for this, and yeah, we just couldn't get it. But a Texas 1-2, I'll definitely take that all day.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. A great second place finish, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
James, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, Doug, I got you.
It's almost becoming a habit now.
It is, isn't it?
3 in a row and getting the win here at Texas.
I would say the old back is holding up pretty well.
I would have to agree with that. Now, I have to ask, Trey said he was had very little fuel left at the end of the race. How much did you have left?
I pitted a couple laps early there, and I saved from the beginning. I think I had 2.5, 3 laps of fuel left, and that was one reason I was able to maintain my lead near the end. Is with 10 to go, I just started using up what I had left in my tires, because when I was saving fuel, I was also saving some rubber on that right front, and it kind of helped me there towards the end.
Well, it definitely paid off, although once Trey cleared the lap traffic, he really started closing that gap, went from 2 to 1.5 seconds pretty quickly. Did you get a little worried there?
No, like I said, I was just trying to maintain pace, and I had told myself if he got within a second and a half, I was going to turn it up, and I kind of did when he got right there on me, and I don't think he got any closer than a second and a half, so it worked.
Well, congratulations. You came in tonight with a 14-point lead, and now you're going to leave with an even bigger one.
We're going to need it because next week we are on a short track, so no telling what's going to happen next week. Everybody's telling me they want me to start last next week, so I may do it.
Good luck with that one, man. Congrats, buddy.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, James Harris pulling off win number 3 of the season. What an amazing streak he's got going. Next week, short track, obviously going to be a little bit different. Will he be able to get 4 in a row is the question. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to both races tonight. It has been a lot of fun, a lot of exciting racing, and a lot of holding our breaths. But here we are. We've made it to the end of the night, and congratulations to both of our winners tonight, AJ Godsey in the Cup Series and James Harris here in the ARCA Series. James Harris, race number 3, win number 3, could be a very dominant season. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night. We will have the new Jones BS Series Legends at Irwindale Inner, followed by their Wayland Mods at the Irwindale Outer. Have a great night, everybody.